Now at 9, a person of interest is in custody connected to a Fort Scott murder investigation. Tonight, we hear from the victim's neighbor about what they saw. And Governor Laura Kelly announces a proposal that would provide tax rebates to Kansans.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Authorities have found a person of interest in a double murder case in Fort Scott. Yesterday, the Fort Scott Police Department responded to a 911 call from a resident who found their family members' bodies. KOIM's Bronte Sorosky has details on that murder and the status of the person of interest in the case.
It's pretty quiet. We hear occasional hot rod running by, but really not much. Anytime there's any activity downtown, we're close, so that kind of we catch that. But yeah, it's pretty quiet.
The community of Fort Scott was put on high alert Wednesday when news of a double homicide broke. Michael Cheney lives nearby the house where the murders occurred and says he didn't know what was going on at first.
My first notice was a police siren that I heard, and it just went for a second until he stopped up there. It wasn't too long until my niece, I have a niece that lives with us, so her friends had heard it. So it was the grapevine is how we heard it. And so they contacted her and she contacted us, and then another friend sent me a text.
On Tuesday, the Fort Scott Police Department received a 911 call from a resident at 402 Main Street who came home to find their family member had been shot. When police arrived, they discovered 48-year-old Melissa L. Mitchell, who had died from a gunshot wound, as well as 53-year-old Leonard D. Zimmerman dead in the home. The victim's son, 23-year-old Dawson J. Mitchell, is a person of interest wanted for questioning.
Yeah, the police, of course, around the house confirmed something was going on with the crime tape and all that.
Mitchell was arrested around 1 p.m. Wednesday for theft of a firearm, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and unlawful possession of controlled substances. In Fort Scott, Bronte Sorosky, KOAM News.
At last report, the 23-year-old had not been charged relating to the murders. You can stay up to date on this case and other top news stories with our KOAM News Now Breaking News app. The code you see on your screen will link you directly to that app. It's available for download on both Apple and Android devices. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly is proposing to give residents who pay income taxes a one-time rebate of $250. Kelly outlined the proposal today. The Republican-controlled legislature would have to approve the plan, and GOP lawmakers are expected to have proposals for ongoing income tax cuts instead of one-time rebates. Lawmakers' next annual session convenes January 10th. Kelly said such rebates would be possible because Kansas has been collecting more in tax revenues than expected for months. Her proposal would provide $250 to individuals and $500 to married couples filing jointly. About 1.2 million filers would receive a total of $445 million. The Kansas Forest Service has revised down the number of acres burned in last week's wildfires. The agency posted on Facebook that around 163,000 acres burned on December 15th, not the 400,000 that was first estimated. The Forest Service and the National Interagency Fire Coordination Center are using a new satellite data system to map ongoing wildfires. The service says that as heat, dust, and smoke cleared, the satellite was able to get a clearer picture. The fires claimed 2 lives. Checking in with Doug Hetty now for our first look at the weather.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good day for us today. Temperatures fantastic. We have plenty of sunshine across the region. We almost hit 60. Cold start. We started at 25, but our average high is 46, so still a good chunk above where we should be for this time of the year. Not much going on. We have a few little clouds kind of streaming in. We are going to get clouds increasing later on tonight into the daytime hours tomorrow. You can see them kind of picking up out across central and western Kansas. Temperatures aren't bad. Most of us low to mid 40s. We'll drop back near 40 a little bit later on tonight, but southerly winds are going to kind of keep our temperatures up as we go through the next few days. In fact, a big warm up Thursday into Friday. We're going to check that out here in just a bit.
See you then. The Food and Drug Administration has authorized the first pill to treat COVID-19. Pfizer's antiviral pill Paxlovid is now authorized for high-risk adults and children aged 12 and older. Studies show it reduces the risk of hospitalizations and death by 88% if given within the first 5 days of symptoms. A 5-day course of the drug includes 3 pills twice a day. In November, the Biden administration announced it was buying 10 million treatments for more than $5 billion. Pfizer says it's ready to start delivering the pills in the U.S. immediately. Merck has also requested emergency use authorization for its antiviral pill. The fast-spreading Omicron coronavirus variant is causing a surge in the purchase of at-home COVID tests. So much so that 2 of the largest pharmaceutical chain stores in the U.S., CVS Health and Walgreens, are limiting the number of tests a person can buy. In a statement, CVS said, quote, "To ensure equitable access to tests both in-store and digitally, we've added a limit of 6 test kits per purchase. That's 2 more than Walgreens is allowing, but Americans may soon be able to get free tests in the mail." Yesterday, the Biden administration announced the purchase of 500 million at-home rapid tests to send to people. Americans are facing a double whammy of economic challenges this Christmas. Today, President Biden worked to address both issues as he met with the heads of several companies at the White House. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with more on this and what the president says is being done to ease the burden on American wallets.
Over the last few months, this mobile food pantry in New York City has seen a spike in need. For Thanksgiving alone,
we went from distributing 5,000 turkeys last year to 9,000 this year. You do the math.
As it and other organizations struggle to meet the need, they're not only combating inflation, but supply chain issues too.
We needed another vehicle to rent, and we couldn't get a vehicle to rent. It took us a month to get a rental 30-foot truck. You know, these vehicles don't even exist right now.
But President Biden is touting progress after meeting with the leaders of shipping companies Wednesday, following efforts to ease backlogs at major ports by moving towards 24/7 operations.
The much predicted crisis didn't occur. Packages are moving. Gifts are being delivered. Shelves are not empty.
Still, the president says more investments are needed to make the supply chain more resilient, adding the Build Back Better bill would increase economic growth.
Failing to make these investments is going to slow growth, not increase it.
Despite some improvements with the supply chain, economists say inflation is likely to persist well into next year, potentially putting the passage of the bill at risk. Senator Joe Manchin says he won't support it if prices continue to rise, a sentiment Republicans agree with.
I think the American people are extremely unhappy with the direction this administration is taking.
As the Omicron variant raises concerns about the country's economic recovery, the Biden administration announced Wednesday it would extend the pause on federal student loan payments through May 1st. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
While progressives applauded the president's decision to extend the pause on student loan payments, they urged the White House to go further and cancel up to $50,000 in debt. They added the president should take executive action to get it done, as well as pass the Build Back Better bill. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another 4-state hero. Corporal Ryan Hallberg served in the U.S. Army during Operation Enduring Freedom. His hometown, Wyandotte, Oklahoma. And we are proud to salute Corporal Ryan Hallberg. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later it's a season of giving, but some charitable organizations report a drop in donations.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good Wednesday for us today. Temperatures right around 60. We have plenty of sunshine, and it's going to get warmer over the next couple days. Big warm up. We're going to go well into the 60s tomorrow. Probably about 5 degrees warmer than what we saw today. And then pushing record highs on Christmas Eve. We do have a storm system Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, next Saturday. So we do get into an active part of the pattern. Of course, you can always get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com. But look at December so far, and this is what November looked like as well. All these red days, all days above our average high for this time of the year. A few clouds sneaking in, but it looks pretty good. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Look at our highs today. Upper 50s, should be topping out only into the mid 40s for this time of the year, but upper 50s to near 60 degrees. We've dropped off quite a bit. We're into lower 40s, low to mid 40s, but I don't think we're going to drop too much more, maybe 38 to 40 degrees. And that should be about it because southerly winds are increasing. These are going to be kind of strong as we go into the daytime hours tomorrow. 7th range line looking northwest. Looks good, 44 south winds at about 5 to 10. Humidity is at 65%. Not a whole bunch going on. We have a few clouds kind of streaming through, but besides that, pretty boring across the entire really lower 48. Out to the west, see this little bump in the jet stream? That's a ridge of high pressure. That's what's going to help us warm up. Now, right behind it, here's our storm system. It skirts by on Friday, but this kind of gets the ball rolling for numerous storm systems over the next couple weeks. Also on top of that, the Arctic air that is way up north is finally going to start to let loose a little bit. So we are going to get some changes. Not tonight, not tomorrow. Clouds increase. I think we'll climb pretty well tomorrow into lower 60s during the afternoon. Here's your day planner. 42 to start, 59 by noon. High temp is 63 for the afternoon. Tomorrow night, still a lot of clouds sticking around as we go into Friday morning. Here's Christmas Eve pressing record highs. The record is 73. We should go into lower 70s, which is crazy. It doesn't feel like Christmas, but it's a nice day. And we're going to have another nice day even as we head into Christmas Day. Clouds increase Friday night. You can see that system skirting to our north. It drags a cold front through, so we will start to cool down a little bit on Christmas Day, but still it's going to be a really nice day. Then here comes our next storm system. On Sunday, we may get some thunderstorms out of this Sunday evening. Also may affect the Chiefs-Steelers game up north, so we're going to have to watch that as we head into the second half of the weekend. All right, 63 tomorrow, 72 Friday, 64 on Christmas. We'll probably drop into the 50s late afternoon. 63 on Sunday, showers and thunderstorms, and then again back in on Tuesday.
Overnight low, Friday night, 60 degrees.
Yeah, and our average high is 46. That's what's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, a gift of comfort for Souls Harbor and Joplin, and how rising inflation could be cutting into the season of giving. A donation from First United Church in Carthage will make some of the area's homeless a little more comfortable this holiday. The congregation held a fundraiser they called Undy Sunday, collecting underwear and socks. They collected more than 200 items that they dropped off today at Souls Harbor in Joplin. Souls Harbor officials tell us the donation was a surprise.
We knew it's a need. It's not always a need you get excited about, but we were glad to see that she really had some joy to be receiving these things.
A lot of times people come, they don't have anything. So, to have those undergarments, to be able to put them on is a wonderful thing.
Souls Harbor received a total of 284 pairs of socks and 273 pairs of underwear. It's the season of giving, but some charities like the Salvation Army are seeing a drop in donations. Lydia Hu has more.
It seems headwinds from rising inflation and the nationwide labor shortage are cutting into the season of giving. We're at the Salvation Army's Red Kettle Campaign giving station in Herald Square in New York City. The Salvation Army says donations are down about 10% nationwide this year, down 18% here in New York. One of the challenges is they're having a hard time finding enough people to work the donation stations across the state. Watch.
The unit that's behind us here, they would normally have 15 spots here in the city that they could place a kettle and raise donations. They're able to cover 2. And because of that, obviously their support financially is lower, and then the impact that they can make on those in need is lessened.
And experts say rising inflation is also deterring charitable donations.
What we're seeing is that some of the charities that are not 100% essential are really having a tough time. Inflation only makes it much harder for people to open up their hearts and open up their wallets because their expenses are too high.
Last year, the pandemic brought out the charitable spirit among Americans. Donations reached an all-time high, according to Indiana University. Now that it appears that donations could be slowing, philanthropists and nonprofits want to remind all of us that it's always in season to give to a worthy cause. In Manhattan, Lydia Hu, Fox Business.
Just ahead on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Consumers are confident even as COVID and prices soar. I'm Connell McShane with the Fox Business Network, and we'll have all the details coming up.
Consumer confidence is unfazed by the latest coronavirus surge. Connell McShane has a look at this story and more in tonight's Fox Means Business Report.
Shoppers seem to be shrugging off Omicron and inflation as we head into a new year. Consumer confidence rising this month, the highest level since July. Now, the group that released that report, the Conference Board, says despite rising prices and the new COVID variant, many people are optimistic about the next 6 months. And all that shopping is helping the U.S. economy to grow, albeit at a slower pace. The government's final reading on GDP says it rose 2.3% last quarter. Investors were in a shopping mood on Wednesday as the Dow, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq all closed higher for the second straight session. Wall Street not showing any concern about the rising COVID cases, at least for the time being. And potential home buyers are making their move as we close out 2021. The National Association of Realtors says existing home sales rose almost 2% last month. A lot of people still trying to take advantage of low mortgage interest rates before they rise. And that's business. I'm Connell McShane.
Changes coming to how some credit scores are calculated. Starting in 2022, Equifax will include buy now, pay later payment information in scores. They estimate it'll help boost credit scores for most people by 13 points as long as they avoid late payments. COVID-19 is causing havoc with one of the biggest annual tech conferences in the U.S. CES will move forward with an in-person event in 2 weeks, even though a growing number of prominent tech companies say they are not planning to take part. Amazon, Meta, Pinterest, and Twitter are among those who announced that they're pulling out, citing concerns about the recent surge of COVID-19 cases. A couple of media outlets, including CNN and The Verge, have announced they won't cover CES in person for the same reason. CES is scheduled to take place January 5th through the 8th in Las Vegas. Still ahead, snow or no snow, 4-staters are having a sleigh ride. Won't be any snow on the ground around here this Christmas. In fact, it's going to be quite warm, as Doug Holdis told us. It will not look anything like this. But snow or no snow, folks today still got into the holiday spirit with a sleigh ride. Medical Lodge in Neosho hosted the rise today. Lots of families came out to enjoy the holiday fun.
Gotten to several places in Joplin, several nursing homes, assisted livings, just to give residents a ride. We had the opportunity to join with Medical Lodges today and do an event for the community, and just love to share the spirit and share the love with the community.
Food was also provided for folks in attendance. The windows of downtown Joplin have been beautifully decorated for the season. Business owners put in the work to make a stroll downtown much more festive. As great as they all look, one stood out as the best. 3, actually, in different categories. The winners of the 2021 Holiday Window Competition are Social BTB for Best Use of Theme, Olson for Most Lights, and Lovey's Recycled Weddings for Most Creative.
We traditionally have kind of called it a window decorating competition, but we had several businesses this year who either didn't have great street frontage or had very limited street frontage, and they're like, well, does the inside count too? And I was like, sure. I mean, it's kind of all part of it and part of the experience for people coming downtown.
Again, great job to all the local businesses that participated this year. A raccoon is recovering after finding itself in a sticky situation. Look at that. The unlucky animal somehow found its way into an attic full of newly applied spray foam insulation. The foam completely covered the animal's body and face. It was found, brought to Wildfires, Oklahoma earlier this month, where most of the foamy mess was removed. The raccoon did have to be put under for a while to get the foam off of its face. Wildfires, Oklahoma will be caring for the critter until he regrows his hair that was shaved off and sheds the rest of his insulation-covered fur. Poor thing. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Still ahead, we're going to hear from a Southwest Missouri family whose firsthand experience with dealing with grief about how you can handle it over the holiday. New cases and hospitalizations from COVID-19 are surging throughout Missouri And health leaders are warning of an approaching perfect storm if more people don't get vaccinated and take other precautions. Missouri is now seeing a 7-day average of daily new cases of more than 3,000. The average dipped below 1,000 in October. Meanwhile, hospitals are becoming overwhelmed in both the St. Louis and Kansas City areas, even before Christmas gatherings and before the fast-moving Omicron variant fully takes hold. Oklahoma health officials say they've detected that state's first confirmed case of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. The Oklahoma State Department of Health didn't release any information about where the case originated or whether that person was vaccinated. Restrictive abortion laws in Texas that went into effect in September mean right now women are crossing the border to Oklahoma and Kansas for abortion services. The Trust Women Clinic says they saw fewer than 10 Texas patients in its Oklahoma and Kansas facilities before the Texas law went into effect. Now they're seeing more than 100 women a month, and they say they're struggling to keep up with the rush. Oklahoma has 3 abortion laws on a temporary injunction right now. They were supposed to go into effect on November 1st. The loss of a loved one is never easy, and the holidays are really difficult for families who've gone through a loss or other tragedy. A Springfield area family talked with Joe Hickman about some ways to navigate through those heartbreaking times.
This recent photo of the Caldwell family includes a blanket on the shoulder of 10-year-old Claire, who's now the exact same age as the owner of that blanket, her sister Abigail, who died in 2018.
The death of a child, oftentimes people will say, is the worst thing anyone could live through. But the holidays, Christmas, her birthday, put spotlights on her absence.
All the traditions are about family, so it makes sense that's going to be painful.
Abigail was a healthy, normal youngster 3 years ago when she started taking the antibiotic Bactrim for acne on her scalp.
19 days after taking the Bactrim, she developed a fever. The fever rapidly progressed into lung failure. She was taken to St. Louis Children's Hospital where she coded, so her heart stopped. I know it's not my failure, but that's what we're working through.
She's working through it with the help of the Lost and Found Grief Center, where families learn to find their own ways through the holiday pain, like making new traditions.
I will never have another Christmas with Abigail. And so stop trying to achieve whatever a Christmas with her was like, because it can't happen.
If you have other children, you've got to do something for them.
We do have Claire, so I ended up giving her my Amazon account and said, pick out a tree, honey. And it brings joy. It's not a center of sadness and what's not there. When you look at this tree, you cannot help but laugh.
Amy and her family are still a work in progress, but her advice for those going through similar pain?
You have to have buckets of grace. Buckets of grace on yourself and on your family too, because they don't know how to help you. They want to, but they don't know how.
And that includes friends and relatives understanding if someone wants to avoid holiday get-togethers.
They're surrounded by people who want them to be okay, which is an unintended pressure on them.
And remember, there is a place for help.
When you see the mom of a dead kid, people often try to run away. But at Lost and Found, they run to you.
Again, that was Joe Hickman reporting. A bit later, transforming toys.
Disabled pets are getting a new lease on life. I'm Marianne Rafferty with a special look at how one animal shelter is transforming children's toys into life-saving devices. Coming up.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good Wednesday for us today. Really no complaints in the weather department as temperatures in general have been really good. We're going to have a big warm up as we head into the next couple days. We do have a storm system on Sunday. This could give us showers, maybe even a few thunderstorms. This part of the pattern really picks up over the next few weeks. We have systems Tuesday, Thursday, next Saturday. Of course, you can always get my long range forecast on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com, and I'm about ready to update that. All right, majority of the winter has been warm. We can go all the way back to the second week of November. This is actually December, but you can see all the red days. These are temperatures above normal. If we go back to the second week of November, from that point in time until now, we've been generally warm. That is the bulk of the pattern. There's a 3-week stretch where we take dips, and we start that next week. So we go through 3 weeks, that it gets active and colder. We'll do that again in late February. So those are only 2 shots to get a good storm in here, as the majority of the winter is going to be above average. Looks pretty good right now. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Look at our highs today. Most of us upper 50s to near 60. We have dropped off a bit over the past couple hours. Most of us low to mid 40s. I think we'll bottom out near 40 degrees, but southerly winds are going to keep our temperatures up, and these are really going to increase over the next couple days. But in return, you get warmer temperatures. We go into the 60s tomorrow, 70s on Friday. 44 right now, south winds 5 to 10. Humidity is at 65%. Not much going on out here. We have a few clouds across southwestern Missouri, but clouds are starting to increase out to our west. So we are going to have a lot of clouds over the next few days, but the weather's pretty good. A little ridge of high pressure is going to give us nice weather. Then we'll run into the beginnings of the part of the pattern that really starts to pick up. All right, let's go through time. During the overnight hours tonight, clouds increase, lower 40s. A lot of clouds tomorrow, but temperatures pretty good. I think most of us are going to go into lower 60s. 42 to start, 59 by noon, high temp right around 63. Tomorrow night, still a lot of clouds, but we stay mild. We only drop into the mid 50s. Then check out Friday, which is Christmas Eve. We should go into lower 70s for highs. We have a system that skirts by Friday night, will most likely stay dry. We'll keep it. A cold front drops in on Christmas Day, but Christmas Day in general ahead of the front looks pretty good. Then a storm system on Sunday. We could actually get thunderstorms late in the day, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that as we go into Sunday. Not a very Christmassy forecast. 63 tomorrow, 72 on Friday, 64 on Saturday, 63 on Sunday. I guess this would be a cold Christmas if we lived in Miami, Florida, but
maybe.
Around here.
I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, around here it's balmy.
Yeah, what's the average Christmas say in Honolulu? Probably not much warmer than
I know.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up in sports, a Pittsburgh wrestler finds early success in her first month on the mat. Plus, the Colgan Panthers are off to a hot start with a sophomore leading the way. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Tonight is the final game of the football season for the Missouri Tigers. Mizzou is in Fort Worth, Texas, facing Army this evening in the Armed Forces Bowl. Now, the Tigers went 6-6 in the regular season. Army finished 8-4. This game actually still going with under 10 minutes left. Missouri trails right now 21-16. The Colgan girls basketball team is off to a hot start this season. The Panthers are 4-0, including a 2-0 mark in CNC league play. And they're getting some big-time production from some young players. The Colgan Panthers have won their first 4 games by more than 40 points per game.
I thought they played some of the best basketball, so far, but there's still a lot of things we can work on.
We know what our end goal is for this season. We want to get back to Manhattan, and the dedication with this team has started since November. So putting in that work and seeing the success it's already shown has been great.
The Panthers have been led in scoring by the duo of junior Lauren Torrance and sophomore Lily Brown. Brown is posting an impressive 23 points and 12 rebounds per game.
I feel like running the court has really helped for me. I've been able to see the court a lot better this year compared to last year. It's kind of crazy how much one year just kind of, boosts your confidence.
She's doing a great job rebounding. I mean, she can jump out of the gym and she can run the floor, and she's doing a really good job of, finding the openings and the seams, rebounding, and she runs the floor really well. So she's just she's tough to guard.
Immediately as I put the ball on the floor for transition, I'm looking up for her down the court. She's sprinting as hard as she can, and she gets boards really well too. She's had a couple double-doubles, as you've seen probably. So she's really improved, and I'm proud of her.
Torrance is also in double figures with 11 points per night.
Her and Lily together are really starting to click and gel, and they're kind of like our team within a team. You got those two inside, and teams have tried to zone us and take us away, but they're just finding ways to play with each other, and she's doing a good job, running the floor as well.
While the team is led by younger players in scoring, it's the 3 seniors on the team providing leadership and experience to make it all work.
A player-led team is going to go way further than a coach-led team, and I feel like the 3 seniors have done a great job.
The seniors are by far the most important factor. They really control our team. They give us confidence. When we come to practice every day, it starts with our seniors, our captains, and we have to give 100%, and then that goes down for our younger kids, and they do the same thing. They're motivated by us, and if we are working our hardest, then they're doing the same.
I just feel like they're picking up on their weaknesses, really taking it serious because, they do have an ultimate goal, and that's to win a state championship.
Colgan is currently ranked second in the state in Class 2A after finishing as state runner-up last season. The Panthers will be back in action on January 4th on the road against the Iola Mustangs. A Pittsburgh High School wrestler has found some early success in her first season on the mat, and she's doing it after just a few weeks of practice. Our own Danny Terzer has the story.
For Sierra Deerling, wrestling comes naturally.
I think a lot is her natural athletic ability. She's super strong. She's one of the strongest girls in our school, pound for pound. And she works hard. She's a straight A student. She's a coach's dream. She comes in wanting to learn, wanting to get better, and she's easy to coach.
Deerling started wrestling a little over a month ago. She's found success early on.
The girls' wrestling program is newer, so they were looking for girls who might be good at it. And so they were kind of just asking around, and I figured, why not?
I think her first week or two, she kind of battled and struggled a little bit and got frustrated because she wasn't great right away, you know. And but she's done everything to improve and get better.
It's halfway through the season and a little over a month into Deerling's career. She's 11-3 with 8 wins by pin, and she's holding her own against some of the best in the state.
She lost one more match her first tournament to a girl she was beaten like 10-2 and just got in a bad spot and a little inexperienced. Then she went on a tear and hasn't lost a match since then until the Bobcat Classic where she took 3rd place.
I've always just kind of wanted to be better, just try, just go out there and see how far I can get. So I know we always say what you put in, like you get, so just try to put in hard work and see where it gets me.
Here is a perfect example of her work ethic. She's working one-on-one with her coach over Christmas break.
She's always trying to find extra ways to get better, always willing to put in the extra work, and that's why she's having the success she is.
It's kind of exciting because I know I've only been wrestling once, so I can go further if I wanted to.
I see her being a state champion before she's done with this program.
In Pittsburgh, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
And Deerling and the Purple Dragons are off for the rest of 2021 before returning to action on January 6th. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Disabled pets are getting a new lease on life thanks to the ingenuity of some engineers. Marianne Rafferty has more.
Christmas is right around the corner, but over in the Gaza Strip, toys aren't just for kids, as some special do-gooders are reimagining how something meant for a child can benefit an animal in need. Members of the Solala Animal Rescue Society are taking apart bikes and toy cars and using the pieces to build mobility devices for disabled animals.
We upcycled a children's toy car into a wheel for the cat to move easily.
From makeshift wheelchairs to prosthetic legs, these contraptions are helping dozens of stray dogs and cats receive a better quality of life.
In the Animal Rescue Society, there are 12 dogs without legs. Almost half of them are paralyzed. We also have 20 paralyzed and amputated cats.
Some animals, like this dog named Lucy, were paralyzed in tragic car accidents. Others were hurt as a result of the bombings between Hamas fighters and Israeli troops in the area.
There were many cases after the war that were brought to our shelter, either paralyzed or amputated.
And while it takes a couple of volunteers to help harness up these lovable critters, once they're strapped in, there's no slowing them down. This heartfelt initiative was all born out of necessity, with Gaza having no animal medical center specializing in prosthetics. Still, volunteers say their hope is to expand this operation to help even more animals. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Life expectancy in the U.S. dropped to 77 years in 2020, 1.8 years shorter than the year before. The annual report from the CDC also found that COVID-19 was the 3rd leading cause of death behind only heart disease and cancer. Infant mortality also dropped by 2.9% in 2020 to a record low. Sitting in the aisle seat on public transportation could put you at a greater risk of catching a virus from someone else on board. Researchers at the American Institute of Physics developed a model that showed droplets from someone in a window seat rose more and were less likely to invade the space of other passengers, but droplets from the middle seat contaminated aisle passengers more. Still ahead, a Hollywood star's doppelganger is now a Jeopardy champion. Which movie star looks just like a new Jeopardy winner? Here's Douglas Hyde with the Hollywood Minute.
Sam Buttrey, congratulations.
Sam Buttrey won Jeopardy's first ever tournament for college professors, and his celebrity lookalike wants in on the action. Steve Martin had some fun after viewers noted Buttrey's striking resemblance to the star. So great to split the prize money with Sam. The show responded to Martin's tweet saying they would love to have him on anytime, in any capacity. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You is the gift that keeps on giving. The 1994 holiday classic just made history as the first tune to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 Songs chart 3 separate times. It's topped the chart in 2019, 2020, and now 2021.
I admire your courage, but you're gonna pick a fight you can't win before long.
The Yellowstone prequel, 1883, had a massive debut. The Paramount Network Western series starring Sam Elliott and Tim McGraw corralled nearly 5 million viewers, making it the most watched premiere on cable TV in more than 6 years. In Hollywood, I'm Douglas Hyde.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of the new residents of the Shed Aquarium in Chicago. Let's make it a great tomorrow.